And how does it work? It's about you using some form of a debt tool, you're using your cash flow to be able to eliminate debt. And if Pac-Man isn't a perfect example of what that looks like, meaning as you eliminate that debt, as you are eating away at that debt, what does it do? It puts you in a position to where you are paying less and less interest over time. So you're keeping that interest at bay. And the longer you can keep that interest at bay, the more and more cash flow you have, which means the more and more debt you're able to eliminate. And as that cash flow continues to increase, you get to a point where eliminate that interest as that cash flow continues to grow. So velocity banking. Again, it we talk about velocity banking specifically on this channel a lot. But specifically, what is it? And why should you even care about it? The bottom line, it's a strategy. It's a strategy that's designed to eliminate debt. And how do you eliminate that debt? Meaning there are many different strategies that are focused on or will allow you to be able to eliminate that debt. But this is using a leverage vehicle, also known as a debt tool, to actually address that debt. And two things happen. One, you're able to address the debt faster. And the other is you're able to get multiple uses out of the same dollar. And I say this a lot, but I don't think most people believe me when I say it, meaning you're able to use a dollar more than one time to address multiple debts. And we'll kind of walk through how that even comes about. But the primary focus, again, the primary focus is to overall reduce debt and put yourself in a position to where you're actually in a much better credit worthy position to be able to do other things that you're trying to do, meaning be able to accomplish other goals. So we're going to dig into a lot of that. Now, what do you need to be able to do velocity banking? Like, what's required? Well, obviously got to have income. If there's no income, it's very difficult to pay off debt if you don't have income. But it's also identifying what the order of operations is. That income traditionally goes into a checking account, and what we normally do is we pay bills out of it. But what we're looking to do is introduce a debt tool. And this debt tool can be one of these items. So you can absolutely use something that you have in existence already to be able to become that debt tool. And we're going to leverage that debt tool to then pay our bills and ultimately the cash flow. To me, when you're talking about velocity banking, I tend to oversimplify. In simple form, what is velocity banking? Velocity banking is when you focus on eliminating I'll call it the balance on a debt tool, and then you use that debt tool to chunk away at other debt. Meaning it's kind of overwhelming when you think of eliminating all of your debt. Like, that's a lot. But to me, I tend to oversimplify things. To me, it's really your income is focused on driving down one debt, and that debt is the debt of the debt tool. Meaning the focus is to eliminate the balance on this debt tool, and then you use that balance to be able to do other things. And I think the proof is in the pudding. We've done this a lot. We've talked about it a lot. We've talked about it a lot on this channel. And Angelique just kind of went through some of the thumbnails and kind of identified what were some of the opportunities that we've been able to address. And I think this is a small sample size of what we've actually been able to accomplish, meaning in just sharing this information for free. There's not some paid consultation that you need. There's not some program that you have to purchase to be able to do velocity banking. If you just spend a little bit of time on this channel, we'll break down all of the pieces of the puzzle. And through just simply, I'll call it, taking action on some of these activities, a lot of the people that are probably sitting in the chat right now have been able to eliminate a fair amount of debt. And we just wanted to kind of highlight one of them, which just kind of highlighted, you know what? After just taking some very simple actions, putting themselves in a position to have a debt tool and watching us for a short period of time, they were able to pay off a significant amount of credit card debt within the first few weeks. And ultimately, within an 8-week period, eliminate $16.5 thousand in credit card debt. And what I appreciated about this comment was this is an entrepreneur, just like me, just like Angelique and I, meaning our income fluctuates. And when your income fluctuates, you can get yourself in a situation where, although you may have leveraged this credit card or leveraged this debt to be able to address something in month A, month B, your income may not look the same. And because your income doesn't necessarily look the same, that debt can end up growing pretty quickly. So being able to put yourself in a position where you have now a vehicle that you can leverage, take advantage of to be able to pay off debt timely is critical. And how does it work? It's about you using some form of a debt tool, you're using your cash flow to be able to eliminate debt. And if Pac-Man isn't a perfect example of what that looks like, meaning as you eliminate that debt, as you are eating away at that debt, what does it do? It puts you in a position to where you are paying less and less interest over time. So you're keeping that interest at bay. And the longer you can keep that interest at bay, the more and more cash flow you have, which means the more and more debt you're able to eliminate. And as that cash flow continues to increase, you get to a point where your cash flow is, I call it, so excessive. There's so much cash flow available to you, it almost doesn't even matter what the interest is. Meaning it puts you in a position to where not only are you able to keep the interest at bay, but you can also eliminate that interest as that cash flow continues to grow. So I think this is a pretty good analogy of, okay, how does it work? If you put yourself in the proper position, meaning using a debt tool effectively to be able to eliminate or chew up or capture or recapture cash flow, then what you're able to do is reduce the amount of interest that you're paying over time and ultimately put yourself in a position to where you can also accomplish your true goals, which may be retire early or paying off your home or whatever those, I'll call it, those big goals are, putting yourself in a position to where you have the cash flow to be able to do so. Go ahead, sweetheart.
This particular example, though, I think hits because remember when you get those little cherries, those strawberries, the cherries, the bananas, yeah, all those. That's almost like getting the points, the rewards that you get from the points just for using your debt tool. We're programmed to believe that using credit is bad and we only use credit when we need to, and it's like a bad thing. But when you start using credit at the rate that you are in velocity banking, you can start to, depending on your debt tool, you can start to accumulate points really fast. Those points get you free stuff. So it's almost like, getting these rewards in here that give you a superpower, a supercharge, because getting, for us, it was really expensive to take a family of 6 on vacation, right? Super expensive. Right. But these types of fruit, I would say, of our labor in learning these concepts and implementing them were free rental cars for the week that we went on vacation. It was free rooms. It was free tickets, like plane tickets, right? It was however we wanted to use those points, or depending on the card that we were using, we were able to do things that we would not have been able to do had we just been paying cash and debit. And it was actually making it easier for us to do way more than it would have if we would have done what traditionally, just paying cash would have done. We would have paid more. And I'm talking a significant amount more, because the amount of groceries just at the grocery store and the gas and the points that came from that alone, just using the credit card, and we're paying the debt down fast, so it doesn't matter. But if you're going to use your debit card, you might as well be getting something in return. So using it in a smart way, you're working smarter, not harder, and you get some bonuses.
Well said. Well said. And again, the more and more cash flow you create, the faster the debt is eliminated. The faster the debt is eliminated, the more the interest is kept at bay. The more the interest is kept at bay, the more and more cash flow you're able to accumulate. So it's a snowball effect, meaning things just continue to compound. And the more they compound, the faster you are able to get yourself out of those debt-related situations. But let's talk about where most people are educated in how to eliminate debt. Traditionally, it looks something like this, meaning income comes into our checking account. And when it comes to our checking account, we pay our debts from that checking account. That's traditionally how we've been educated to be able to pay our bills. But let's think that through. When that income comes into our checking account and we pay that bill, do we have any access to the income that was put or placed onto that bill? Meaning, do I have any access to that dollar once it leaves my checking account? I don't. And what ends up happening is hopefully there's cash flow left over. And if there's cash flow left over, that cash flow tends to sit where? In the checking account that it left. In the checking account that the income came into. Well, what tends to happen for most of us when we have extra money sitting in our checking account? Do we focus on leveraging that checking account to be able to address more debt? Well, in some cases, we might be putting an extra dollar amount on our mortgage or an extra dollar amount on our bill. But the moral of the story is the cash flow that's sitting in that checking account tends to go away. Or for some of us, we might be smart enough to then place that into a savings account, right? But how much interest are you earning with that cash flow sitting in that savings account? Somewhere between 1%, maybe 0.01%, or some of us might have a high yield savings account. That's awesome. But how much interest are you making on that money sitting in your checking? How about nothing? The idea behind velocity banking is this: instead of allowing your money to leave your checking account and do nothing, go to these bills and just sit and die, or it's sitting in your checking account and not working for you, it's the idea behind it is you're putting all of your money to work for you. The objective is to generate or put your cash flow in a position so that it can not just maybe pay a bill, but also reduce the amount of interest that you're paying elsewhere, which in turn saves you on interest and allows you to generate and build more cash flow.